back to the painting at hand. So I took a black pencil a few minutes ago. As you know, it is very unconventional to use pencils in oil paintings, but I am unconventional. So there you go. I've told you on my website 1,000 times, jumbo jet black, distributed by Jerry's Artorama. It's kind of a slightly grease pencil, but not as greasy as a grease pencil. Little more waxy than a Conti Grand for you artists. All right, so let's just go ahead and make this modification to her dress. She wanted it hiked up a little bit. I think that's the normal expression, isn't it? One of the things, of course, you have to watch out for when you're making late changes like this, you have to beware that the change doesn't look like a patch job, doesn't look like a stick-on sticker that you stuck on, stick-on sticker that you stuck on. I'm brilliant. So you have to operate in stages. You have to do several layers. Those are both pretty good descriptions of the process. So I have now put the flesh-colored skin color paint on my brush. You know, I've got to tell you, if there's any of you, what? Nowadays, I think the politically correct term is people of color love you. And I love that. I'm okay with that label. I do inwardly laugh. Like just then I used the word flesh color. It reminds me of when I was a kid. This is one of those times when us white people, English majors, we white people, right? Actually, one of those times when we white people, when I was a little kid, we had crayons, Crayola crayons, and one of the crayons in that box was called Flesh. Why am I laughing? I'm laughing at us. I'm laughing at us white people because all you people of color know that's right, that were white people flesh color. I doubt very much. I certainly hope, and I do not go along with a lot of the racial, so to speak, solutions to racial issues. I do not. Because most of the solutions presented for racism are immature, half-baked, intermediate. It's better to be half-baked than... You better be a half-baked anti-racist than a full-baked racist. But much better than either of those to be a fully healed, no longer racist. And anyway... And yes, I talk this way to people and people of color all the time. And they're always a little bit scandalized because they're not accustomed to a white person talking with such aplomb. That's A-P-L-O-M-B for those of you who are not English majors. And yes, I have read White Fragility. I have half a book written in response to it. I'm just going to let it go at that. Bless little Robin's heart. You know, if you just keep it subtle enough, you can really insult people really good, and they don't even realize it. It's Robin I'm referring to, not anybody else. All right. Stick to painting. All right, I think I fixed her dress. Now let's go on down here to his tails. let me go back to talking about painting for a minute. Um, One of the it protect or it especially, forgive me, I'll get the words out. Hang on. It especially pertains to when you're doing a patch job like this. One of the universal rules of painting, and of course every rule can be broken. You just need to know when to break it. Now let me answer the question already. Well, how do you know when should a rule be broken? The answer is quite simple, actually. The answer is when there is a countervening or opposing rule, which happens very often, happening at the same time. Okay, having said that, this is one of those rules of painting that very rarely is vetoed or countered. Okay, and this rule is lights first, darks last. And if you're new to my channel, sometimes I draw a distinction between when you're getting a Dan Nelsonism, an opinion that I hold to, say, when you're getting a Dan Nelsonism and when you're getting a pretty much universal art professor opinion. And this is not a Dan Nelsonism. This is an universal art professor-ism. Darks first, lights last. That means if you make a mark on your canvas that is dark compared to what it was, then your painting is not finished. It's not finished till you come back, so to speak, and make a light mark on top of it, next to it, and so on and so forth. And that is exactly what I did with her dress just a few minutes ago. I did a black line, then I did white, then I did dark white, then I did a light white, then I did dark flesh, then I did light flesh, always ending on the light. So again, every rule can be broken, but that's one that is not broken very often. All right, I think his tails are done. Oh, hang on though, hang on. Now, I don't know if any of you watching me are artists. If you are, then you know how it feels, or you can imagine how it feels to feel like you've finished a painting. Yay, I'm done. It's agony, the soulish, the the work of doing a painting. And then your client comes back and says, oh no, at least did not say it, anything like that. But I'm just play acting in the normal world. When a client comes back and says they want changes, you go, oh no, right? First of all, I feel like it's healthy just to admit it and not pretend, it's okay. I say that to the customer, but inside I go, oh, rats. Now, the reason I'm saying that is because I want to say the next thing. Here's a strategy to help take the sting out of that. The sting of a client says, I want to change. Here is the change, and I'm going to expand on this image here just a minute. All right, there we go. Here's how you take the sting out of that. You look at the whole painting with new, fresh eyes, and you scratch your chin, just to prove that I'm scratching my chin. And you say, okay, well, if I have to go back in and touch this painting some more, are there some things that I'd like to change? And in fact, there are. I was happy with the painting the way it was, but you know the way it is. I'm 2 weeks older than I was when I finished it. That means I'm 2 weeks more mature, 2 weeks of a better artist. And I'm going to go ahead and start doing some of what I saw when I took a fresh look at this painting. And it was essentially that the brown background behind these figures down here, the brown wall and brown floor, is a little too clean and prominent. And I realized, oh, in another way to say the same thing is that the figures were a little too cut out. Not up here, but down here. Well, maybe they are up here too. I don't know. Well, I've got dark on my brushes. Now, what I'm saying right now may not apply to your style of painting at all. My style of painting, which I like, if I didn't like it, it wouldn't be my style of painting. Okay, my style of painting, which I like, is my figures in the background, the ancillary, auxiliary, extra people, especially in my wedding paintings. Also in my cityscapes or festival. I have done hundreds, literally, of festival paintings. One of the things I love about festival paintings is painting crowds. And the way I paint is these figures, ancillary, auxiliary, background figures, are supposed to, I'm trying to strike a balance between representational and abstract. That's a tug of war. You understand that, right? It's like a little bit realistic, a little bit not, little bit real, little bit not real, not real, abstract, right? And so I guess in a way what I'm saying here is I feel like, at least for the bottom part of the figures, I had erred on the side of a little too accurate, a little too defined. And when I saw that, I also saw that the solution would be quite simple. So I have just dirtied up. Let me zoom in here again for you guys so you can see. Okay, let's just zoom in on this part over here. You see, like, this is new, this dirty, smudgy stuff. In fact, I can actually smudge it with my thumb a little bit. All right, so now it's messier. Does that make sense? But what rule did I just talk about a few minutes ago? The one that's very rarely controverted, very rarely overturned. It is darks first, lights last. So if you make dark marks, right. I just made a bunch of dark marks. That means according to that rule, it would be horrible. In fact, it does to me. It literally looks horrible, those dark marks. But I'm not panicking because I know exactly what I'm going to do to alleviate it, fix it. And I do believe that the painting's going to be a little bit better. Now, my client, Elise, did not say anything about this in her email. And I wouldn't, well, no, that's not true. A client has come back once in a while and said, could you make the background figures? Usually they want them to be a little bit more realistic. That's happened once. I don't know if it's happened more than once. I can't remember. Okay, so I don't think that they will complain about what I'm doing down here. I will indeed take fresh pictures of my painting for my archival, good for high quality representation. I do try to keep a good quality image of every painting I do. I didn't do that 15 or 20 years ago, and I'm still surprised when I find in my somewhere in my archives a record of a painting, but I didn't have a good photograph of it. That's hard for me to believe that I did that, but I did. I was in the childhood of my career. How about that? And I was in my mid-50s, by the way. All right, so let me zoom in here again so perhaps you can see that. Okay, do you see over there? Lighter dots. Now let's come over here and I'll let you watch me do this. So I basically mixed up a brown that more or less matches the brown that's in here. It doesn't need to be a perfect match, because if I were to introduce a slightly different color, that would be just fine. Generally speaking, oh, here's another rule. Generally speaking, human beings prefer yes color over no color. I'm saying that in a very strange manner. I understand that. But if you ask a person, a human being, do you like color? Generally, the answer is yes. And so as artists, most of the time, although I love, and some people do, I love moody, grungy, browny, gray, monochromatic. I do. I do. But on the whole, people, human beings, the human eye is attracted to color. So that's just a little sidelight teaching there, right there, to defend that if I don't put down exactly the same color brown, it's not a bad thing. All right, are you still able to see where I'm painting? Barely. There we go. Now another principle is coming to the fore, even as I make this subtle change. Another principle is popping up in my vision. It wasn't part of my plan when I started making these changes, but is now becoming one. And if there's any old regulars watching, then you've heard me say it before. The human eye is inexorably drawn to punctiliar light. Now let me say that in ordinary language and then tell you why I don't normally use ordinary language. Let me say it again. The human eye is inexorably drawn to punctiliar light. Inexorably means we can't help it. It's hardwired. It's in us. Punctiliar light means points of light. Then why don't I use the word points of light? The answer is because if I say points of light, then most people, including art students, would think of things that make points of light, like stars, candles, fireworks, snowflakes, twinkly lights, Christmas lights. Okay, so all those things are in fact punctiliar light. Let me go back to my image here. But here I'm creating punctiliar, that is light that is pointy. And there's no candles or stars down here. Do you understand? But it's punctiliar light. So that's why I use the term and why I don't generally just say points of light. Because calling it points of light misses the point. Yup. I'm going to mix up a little bit of dull, dirty blue. So it's not quite as dull it's not quite as dirty as I thought. I'm trying to match some of this up here because some of you will remember that a few minutes ago, I did put a few new dark bits up near some of these people's heads. Okay, so the rule is if you put any dark paint on the canvas, then your painting is not finished, because you need to come back, as I'm doing right now, and put light either on top of or next to, it's always both, next to and on top of the dark marks that you just made. Oh, sorry I did all that outside of your vision. Forgive me. Let's fix that. I just did a few dots here, and now over here. The darks first, lights last. Let me restate that principle in different words. The human eye does not like seeing dark paint on top of light. Period. The human eye does not like seeing dark paint on top of light paint. So anytime but there are times you have to do dark paint, of course. So you do dark, you follow up with light. All right, I think I'm done with all of that stuff. I'm just going to tell you, because I don't think I want you... Oh, I'll show you for a minute what it is I'm going to do on this, on her eye. I'm literally, glasses off, magnifying glass. And I've got a dull gray, brownish gray on my brush. And I'm going to add a tiny bit to the near corner of her eye. Okay, I'm letting you watch me do this. Here's a portrait for you beginners. This is beginner portrait tip. Beware the whites of the eyes. I think it's because we call them whites. That's exactly why beginner artists mess up and make them way too white. That's all I'm going to say about that. All right, I think this is a good time for me to end this video. You got to watch me use a magnifying glass. You got to watch the backside of my bald head while I did that. But that's basically what I'm going to do. I'm going to tweak her eye just a little bit more, tiny bit, almost microscopic. I really couldn't do it without a magnifying glass. And then I'm going to tweak his cheek a little bit, which again she requested. Very reasonable request. And then, whew, I hope, crossing all my fingers, I hope I'll be done with this painting. Thanks y'all for watching. Hope to see you again soon. Bye-bye. Now all I have to do is figure out how to turn this thing off. You think I'm kidding? I'm not kidding. Stop. No, that's not it. Help, Mr. Wizard. Help, Mr. Wizard. How do I turn this off?